Hello friends, I hope you're all well. On this occasion, I bring you a video about the new Pope. For the first time in history, an American becomes Pope. Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost has been elected as the 267th Pope of the Catholic Church and has taken the name Leo XIV. It is a historic moment. The first Pope born in the United States. His election resonates not only spiritually, but also politically and prophetically. The current president of the United States was one of the first to greet the new Pope with a message on his social media platform, Truth Social, where he said the following: "Congratulations to Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, who has just been named Pope. It is a great honor to know that he is the first American Pope. How exciting and what a great honor for our country. I look forward to meeting Pope Leo XIV. It will be a very significant moment." For more than a century, the United States and the Vatican severed diplomatic relations from 1867 until Ronald Reagan re-established them in 1984. Today, with Leo XIV, we see the closing of a historical cycle. Coincidence, or part of a larger plan? To understand the impact of Pope Leo XIV, we need to look to the past. There is a direct precedent, Leo XIII, and the similarities between the two are striking. Leo XIII was the first pope to choose that name since Leo XII. Now, more than a century later, Leo XIV takes it up again, evoking a historical figure of strength and tradition. The global context in which each emerged also has striking parallels. Leo XIII ruled in the post-industrial revolution era, marked by strong social and labor tensions. Leo XIV, meanwhile, assumed the pontificate in the midst of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, an era of automation, artificial intelligence, and a jobs crisis. Doctrinally, Leo XIII was a pioneer. In 1891, he published Rerum Novarum, initiating the social doctrine of the Church. Now, many expect Leo XIV to resume, or even update, that social agenda in the face of challenges such as robotization, inequality, and purposeless work. Both popes also faced tensions between church and state. Leo XIII grappled with the loss of the papal states and the rise of secularism in Europe. Leo XIV arrived in a polarized world, but with an unprecedented twist. The United States, for the first time, has a pope born on its territory. An event that could mark a historic reconciliation between the world power and the Vatican. Regarding human labor, Leo XIII defended unions and labor rights. Will Leo XIV do the same in times of precarious jobs, algorithms replacing people, and professions becoming obsolete? Geopolitically, Leo XIII witnessed the unification of Italy and the end of the Pope's temporal power. Today, the world is also being reorganized, and the long-standing tensions between Washington and Rome could take a new direction. And finally, the name Lion is no coincidence. It symbolizes strength, moral authority, and a connection to tradition. That this name should be re-elected after more than 100 years suggests a message. We are facing a leadership that looks back, but also forward, with firmness and historical memory. Leo XIII had distant, if not non-existent, relations with the United States. Leo XIV is an American. That simple fact changes everything. For some believers, especially Seventh-day Adventists, the election of this pope is a prophetic sign. They say that the mark of the beast will be a mandatory Sunday law, and that such a law was on the verge of being passed in the U.S. in 1888. Let's now look at some specific and deeply symbolic parallels between the pontificates of Leo XIII and Leo XIV. During Leo XIII pontificate in 1888, there was a serious attempt in the United States to pass a Sunday law, legislation that sought to impose mandatory rest on Sunday, with direct religious implications. Today, under Leo XIV, a similar scenario could occur. Some conservative sectors, both religious and political, are once again pushing legislative ideas in that direction. Relations with Protestantism also mark a contrast and at the same time a continuity. Under Leo XIII, the climate was one of strong doctrinal tension. Under Leo XIV, although we are living in an era of ecumenical dialogue, latent tensions still persist, especially on moral and prophetic issues. Both popes, moreover, arrive at moments of historical transition. Leo XIII guided the Church into the 20th century, a time of enormous social and technological transformations. Leo XIV assumes leadership amid the shift toward a new global paradigm. Artificial intelligence, digital control, mass surveillance, and a profound redefinition of the social fabric. As for the duration of the pontificate, Leo XIII died in 1903 after 25 years as papacy. Under Leo XIV, we still don't know. But many speculate that his pontificate could mark the symbolic close of an era, especially if we take 2030 as a date with prophetic or eschatological weight. And from an eschatological perspective, as held by some Adventist groups, there is a disturbing fact. During the time of Leo XIII, the attempt to pass the Sunday law was seen as a possible prophetic sign. If we symbolically project that history to the present, and if each year between now and 2030 was equivalent to 5 years at that time, then the year 2027 could be key. A moment when, according to that prophetic logic, a Sunday law could be discussed again, this time with national and even global scope. Coincidence? Historical pattern? Warning? Only time will tell. History repeats itself. At the end of the 19th century, we experienced the Industrial Revolution. Today, we are entering the fourth. In both, human labor is displaced. Once it was horses, now it could be the domestic worker. Sometimes, numbers also tell stories. In 1798, the Pope was arrested on Napoleon's orders, and according to Adventists, the Vatican lost the sword of civil power. That event marked the beginning of the mortal wound of papal power. From then until 1901, Rome saw 7 popes pass through. In parallel, after the diplomatic rupture between the U.S. and the Vatican in 1867, 9 American presidents passed through the White House until that same year, 1901. Interestingly, in the modern cycle, from the time the U.S. re-established relations with the Vatican in 1984 until the year pointed out by many as prophetic, 2030, 7 American presidents have governed, including 2 terms for Donald Trump. Some argue that the papal wound only began to heal in 1929, when Mussolini signed the Lateran Treaty with Pope Pius XI, restoring the Vatican's territorial sovereignty. But others believe that the first sign of recovery occurred earlier, on March 14, 1800, with the election of Pope Pius VII. If the world had ended in September 1901, this would have represented a cycle of 101 years. And now, if we look from 1929 to 2030, the Vatican will have had 9 popes, including the current one, Leo XIV, completing another remarkable numerical cycle. As Yosef Neneret's book The Antichrist suggests, Satan lived 101 years after the fall of Adam, which gives symbolic significance to the year 101 as a prophetic number. Coincidence? Or a countdown with symbolic clocks marking the climax of a battle between spiritual power and political power, whose outcome could be closer than we think. That is, the Civil War of 1861 occurred before the United States cut relations with the Vatican, 1867. The 8th president since Andrew Johnson was Cleveland, whose second term closed that cycle, 1897. Now, in the opposite cycle, since the restoration of diplomatic relations with the Vatican in 1984 under Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump would be the 8th president in this new period, 1984 to 2028. And again, we have a president who breaks the traditional pattern by having 2 non-consecutive terms. If in the first cycle the Civil War occurred at the beginning of the cycle, before the estrangement with the Vatican, in this new cycle, could a new civil war occur in the middle or towards the end of this presidential term? Could it coincide with the consolidation of religious power from the Vatican with an American pope? And could this lead to the imposition of religious laws, such as a national Sunday law, just before 2030? For some prophetic believers, These are not mere coincidences. History repeats itself, but with new faces, new technologies, and new alliances. The American Civil War also occurred during those years. What if that history is about to repeat itself? The country is polarized. Social, racial, and political tensions are growing. Some believe a new internal rupture is coming. The American Civil War broke out in April 1861, just a month after Abraham Lincoln began his first presidential term. He was re-elected in 1864, sworn in for his second term on March 4th, 1865, and was assassinated shortly thereafter on April 15th of that same year. He was succeeded by Andrew Johnson, 1865 to 1869, who in 1867 broke off diplomatic relations with the Vatican. If we count 8 presidents from Johnson onward, we arrive at Grover Cleveland in his second term, 1893 to 1897. And here's something unusual happens. Cleveland was the only president with 2 non-consecutive terms until Donald Trump. In the 19th century, a little-known lawyer and writer named Ingersoll Lockwood wrote 3 books that today evoke disturbing parallels with our reality. In Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, 1893, and The Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump, 1889, we meet a young aristocrat named Baron Trump, who travels to hidden realms guided by a character named Don, lives in a castle, and defies the logic of his time. In The Last President, 1900, a strangely visionary political novel, an unexpected figure rises to power in New York, unleashing chaos, with protests in front of the former Fifth Avenue Hotel, where, coincidentally or not, Trump Tower now stands. Many wonder, was Lockwood simply a writer with a vivid imagination, or did he leave clues about a repeating historical cycle? Today, with Donald Trump embroiled in legal controversies, presidential campaigns, and a world more polarized than ever, Lockwood's stories seem to take on new life. Was it fiction or a warning? Pope Leo XIV not only represents a change of nationality, but possibly the beginning of a new chapter in world history. An American pope in an era of polarization and global crisis, an economy in transformation, a society on the brink of collapse, and a prophecy that many believe is about to be fulfilled. Will 2027 be the year Sunday law is passed? Will 2030 be the year of the end? As always, you have a last word. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this interesting, you can follow me on Facebook, make a donation through Patreon, PayPal, or cryptocurrency in the description of this video. Don't forget to like, share, and leave your opinion in the comments. See you next time. God bless.